Morning, sir.
Call this meeting to order. It is 10 a.m.
Mr. Gallagher, here, Mr. Robinson, there is a quorum present.
All right, would you please, at your desire, please stand for pledge of allegiance to the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sir?
Heavenly Father, we seek your presence as we do the business of the county. We ask that you guide and direct us and do what would be making you proud in your eyes. We ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Our consent agenda is very limited. It's just the minutes of last week's meeting.
Move to accept the consent agenda.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Thank you, aye. There are no table agenda items. So the scanning project grant, Mr. Graff is going to enlighten us.
Jake, after order deeds, just want to inform the commission that we are completed our phase 3 of the recording records for digitization, and we've met all the requirements for that grant, and all we're doing is waiting for that portion of the grant money to come to us. And then to ask permission, we have been accepted for phase 4 with the grant program replied and have been approved. So we're just looking to get approval to proceed as in years past, to go ahead and get bids as we did last year to continue with that digitization of our records.
This is full grants, not matching funds.
It is a $25,000 grant, which we get half of, so we owe half.
50-50 grant.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And motion?
I would move that we allow the recorder to pursue the granting process.
And I'd second that motion.
Any questions?
I just got one question. How many phases are there?
Yeah, you're right, yeah. There's 467 books. We do about 50 books per year, and it costs that much to get done.
So how many phases then?
Well, phase 4 would be 200.
Yeah, and that's another option to look at is the actual equipment to step it up. and
So we
get it
think
done
that there's
sooner.
gonna be how many more left?
We're at about 5.
About 5 more, so we're almost halfway through, okay. So I did,
One other option that we've done with
it
that.
didn't faze me. But
What we've done is we bought an extra piece of equipment that allows us to actually do some of the digitizing of the books ourselves. So we're actually gonna save the county some money by doing that, and we might get about 50 plus books done on our own.
Okay.
So
Now you
the other
can't-
option is to buy that piece of equipment. What we have now is about $7,000 for that piece of equipment to do ourselves. So if you buy that out, it saves us some money doing that. But to actually buy, I actually watched the procedures done before, and to buy that equipment, I got the serial numbers and the model and make of those, and to buy that equipment is about $30,000.
And the labor too.
Yeah, so,
Now, do we do the labor on this grant, or
no,
someone else?
totally bid out, and it's taken care of for us.
And do we keep the original paperwork? Is this just a backup copy? Or is this?
When there's backups, there's actually film copies that are archived at the State Department here in Missouri, so Jefferson City, and then we actually keep the originals here, and then it's digitized too, so it's, you've got several backups to everything.
So, and I think I can get a license to do computer search of your records.
Correct, yes.
Do this, okay. Any other questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you, Jay. Salvage property, Jamie. There, Jamie.
We went around the jail, did a little cleanup on like old chairs that were not salvageable, a couple desks, stuff like that. It's basically used furniture that we need to get rid of and surplus.
You got your phone on you?
Yeah.
Pull out that description you read to me earlier today of what this is. I think he said it's a bunch of crap that they pulled together.
That's a technical term. Buck's not on that list.
From Webster Dictionary, yes. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
That's kind of.
Yeah, it's not worth much.
It's broken chairs and stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not
And they're on
salvageable.
inventory currently.
Yes, they are. No, not the chairs and the desks, no.
Okay,
They're not on anything valued under $100, we did not inventory.
okay.
So it doesn't need to be removed and made salvage, or you're just gonna just,
They're not worth,
Trash them.
yeah, if they could be fixed, we fixed them, but some of them been around.
Maybe have for 3 or 4 times. Okay.
Yeah.
well, on the
They're around
recommendation, I
minutes.
move that we eliminate this, used furniture.
Any questions? All in favor, aye? Thank you, sir, for your technical language.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate that. Also, I want to give a shout out to St. Francis County, the maintenance guy, Brian Riley. His work on the jail, I mean, we've been working side by side, making a lot of progress. Right now, he's even working on the outside rec area. There's a water problem. I mean, it's digging and drilling hose. I told him that's good as long as he doesn't go into a jail cell. We're pretty good shape. But it's moving along real well.
But the report you got this morning was that Brian's digging tunnels.
It's, yeah, that's it. And I'm not gonna look at any tapes.
And what he's talking about, we have some broken glass over there. That glass is 5 layers of glass with 4 layers of plastic in them. It's that thick. And the outer panels get broken with whatever.
Right.
And so those need to be replaced. So Brian's working on that, and it's, one bid's, or got 10-week delay on it. So we're working on different things on that. But Brian is taking over and getting this stuff updated, and it's stuff that's needed to be done quite a while. So.
Yeah, we're making progress.
And
Every
the
day
tunnel-
I'm in, moving forward on it. And that key watch system that didn't have any bids, went back to, it's called Morris Watchman. And we're gonna get the key watch through it, get it set up, get all the keys secured. So thank you, and we're moving forward.
Thank you.
One thing I've learned is that one way they break glass is handcuffs.
Yeah.
So
I
they
think one of
just break
the,
the outside layer of the glass, and it's all
Yes.
destroyed.
and sometimes it's DOC offenders, DOC offenders that come over and they don't like the accommodations.
Okay.
Joking.
You're not welcoming enough.
Yeah, and I'll text you a little bit here.
Let me ask one question for you, Steve. Is the possibility of using plexiglass, thick plexiglass?
Absolutely not.
Digital?
You have to have, the high grade security glass.
I'm just
put in
curious,
there. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4, and, you know, unfortunately, some of the inmates are violent. And I'm looking at putting in some security benches, in the booking area to maybe get a guy like that, secure him to the bench, so they can't destroy or jail or glass till somebody comes in and buys them.
Yeah, that's fine, well, thank you.
So I want to report on the glass. For 38 caliber, it does this kind of damage, but it doesn't go through. And 44, it does this kind of damage, but it doesn't go through. They've shot up all their glass over in the half. So, okay, thank you, Jim. So we're ready to move on, right? Now, Mr. Faulkner is going to talk to us about security on software.
On the first one on security, there's a program out for our email system that I want to enhance that talks about training for every employee here that uses the county email for ransomware and malware that's been real effective into it. I got this program from SHI that they are willing to give us a 5-month free trial to use this program and purchase it for next year's budget. So since our budgets haven't been approved for next year, I want to bring it to you guys to see if I can get that approval going forward. But this will help eliminate any fake emails or ransomware that could cause the county to go down.
So it's how, 6 months, 5 months, what
You
you
get
say?
5 months free, so they'll be
So the
from
rest of the year
August
free.
through
Through the rest of this
December,
year.
rest of this year. We'll get it for free and be able to use, but then we agree to buy a 3-year term for starting January, and that's when we'll pay the bill.
Okay, but you'll pay that.
I'll pay it out of the IT department's fund.
Okay, now, we're not at the stage now of approving budget for next year. That's the
Correct.
process.
Right.
But, so we're talking about being able to submit it.
Submit it so I can do it for budget, but go ahead and push forward to get this implemented with our new email 365.
Yeah, and it's good timing for that, because we're coming up pretty quickly for the budget.
So we need a
discussion.
motion for that?
So what if you're not satisfied with the 5-month trial?
I've used this program in the past for other employments that I've had, so I'm very familiar with it and what can be done with it.
And what is the amount?
The amount is for 5,500.
550505.
Yeah,
Per year?
No, for a 3-year deal. So, and we also actually got 40% off of that, because originally it's around 8,200.
I don't see 3 years on this sheet.
That one particularly doesn't come in, but when I went through Know Before, they work with SHI, and that's what it'll be a 3-year deal.
Well, so what we're getting a motion on is the approval to just submit this for next year's bid.
Correct.
I'm sorry, not bid, budget.
Budget.
Okay.
So I can move forward with it and go ahead and get it, and I can get it approved later on with the budget.
I move that we grant it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Somebody,
On the recommendation of the IT director, I move that we approve the agreement.
And I second his motion.
now, any questions? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that SHI International, the company he's talking about, is a state contract. So that's why we got such a good
Okay, and it's below
deal.
6,000 anyway.
So, yeah, I just wanted to know he had done his research.
Very good. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you so much, Jeff.
And
Okay.
then the last one I have, which I know there's a lot of confusion, but I did receive, I don't know if it's policy or not policy, because that's where we lie, about the cell phone policy that was issued to me, that we are trying to cut back with the county use of that. I'm bidding for 4 iPads with AT&T, which is a state-funded contract. And the only thing I'll pay for out of my budget this year would be the 4 iPads. Wondering if the county would pick up the $80 per month till the end of the year, and then I'll forward that over to my next year's budget as well. Since they are talking about eliminating the cell phone usage and stuff in the county.
How about policy now? How does that fit?
So our policy right now is that we aren't going to be providing service for devices for employees, that in order to get service on a device, they would have to get the allowance. And that was basically to take that risk of a person using a county paid device and service for personal use and the liability that could be involved. So we had gone away from, we're moving towards canceling all those lines, and then the device that's currently in place would be given to the employee as surplus. And then we are keeping iPads for like the assessor's office, as they aren't taken home, they're just checked out for field appraising, and then they're brought back and then kept in the vault there in the office. And then our circuit judges have iPads for traveling all the 4 counties in our circuit to be able to access our Tyler software.
What is
Road and Bridge has one too.
Right, and that's, but we don't pay for service on it, do we?
Let's double check.
I don't think, well, those were the ones when the policy was approved, those were the ones that were to be kept on with service.
What is the benefit of each of your people having an iPad?
To give 24/7 access to anything that comes in. Most of the county does close probably after 4, but on election nights, we're here longer. With the sheriff department, we're here longer. With the street department and road department, we're here for any time they need it. Because they're typically working any time of the day or night.
What about lightning strikes in the middle of the night, anything like that? Would this?
Correct, and that would give warnings to the IT department to be able to get alerts that we need to get in here and fix things before the day starts.
Those kind of emergencies.
Correct.
Okay.
And our only issue was not necessarily about them buying the iPads, is that it was paying for
Right,
the
the
service.
paying service part
on it,
is the
because
only-
our policy says we're not
Right.
doing that anymore. So we had also recommended maybe just using Wi-Fi only on the iPads, and therefore they wouldn't be, the county wouldn't be paying for the service on it, but
But you don't always have Wi-Fi service.
exactly, so that's why we
Yeah.
had to go before you guys.
Any thoughts?
I'm not real clear we have a policy that addresses what you're speaking of. I know it was brought by your department and it was approved, but I don't think the policy's ever been developed that I'm aware of.
You guys approved it last year.
But we don't have the policy developed. It was,
Yeah, he's got it in his hand. You guys approved it.
You made the approval.
And the
Commissioner.
allowance form and all that, we've already got people receiving
But I
an
mean,
allowance.
The policy that I'm aware of was the original one, was the original handbook, county employee handbook. Has there been one developed since then?
That you guys approved, I think it was August of last year, of 2019.
I could be wrong, I'm just not clear on that.
Right, and I emailed that all three.
It is, so what I would say, if you're willing to do this with the IT people so that they can have 24-hour access, all you have to do is amend the policy and agree to
Well,
pick up the cost of the.
And that's, we're going to meet
Is that
to
what you
review
would
all the
like if-
policies, and we can do that
If they
either.
decided,
That's-
if they would decide to do it, that would be what would have to be done. They can't just approve it, they'd have to amend this.
Well, I mean, they originally approved the policy, they ought to know what they approved.
I understand, but I'm saying in order to go forward, we would have to amend the policy. We
Well,
can't just.
our concern is because based on the policy and past abuse of the previous non-policy is that the liability falls back on the county.
What liability?
What, any abuse of the personal tablet, computer.
Like taking pictures of death scenes and.
I'm not saying it.
And those type of things.
Okay.
Whereas if it's their responsibility, then that relieves the county somewhat.
Which is why the allowance method was developed, as people would receive an allowance for the business use of their personal device, so that it wasn't a county-paid service or device.
We apparently have a group of people that we've deemed essential for our use of devices. It would seem to me that this group would fit into that group too. Can we amend our policy to list the group of essential people?
I'm sure we can, and I think that policy review committee is meeting August 6th, I believe, and that could be, certainly be a part of that in there, and you'll be involved in
Right.
it as well too. So if it's not been amended, it can be easily, it's not a problem, and then be approved.
Jared, what's the time frame on this need?
For this kind of deal, I need by the end of the month, actually.
So we'll make your August 6th meeting.
So we're needing a policy, I mean, a motion to approve his request to spend.
The iPad will come out of my budget already. I have that amended and paid for with no problem. It's just the $80 is where the question lies. And if need to, I can cover that probably. I'll just have to rearrange a few things.
I don't oppose that by any means. I move that we allow that exception through the end of the year.
Would the amendment be then you would deem the IT people as essential and that you would pick up the $80, is that what?
Through the end of this particular.
I don't care, I just need to make sure.
Well, it
you
would still
understand.
come out of his budget.
Okay,
It's
that's
just-
where I was going. Is it all right if he budgets this for next year? He can, you say you can work it this year
Correct.
and budget next year, that wouldn't be a violation policy if it comes out of his normal budget, would it?
Well, the policy still said, I mean, unless you're gonna amend the policy says we're not paying for service on personal devices anymore. And if these tablets are gonna be
But
taken
those
home
wouldn't
and be used, they
It
would
would
be
be personal,
considered.
would they?
Well, I think he's having one assigned to each employee.
Right, one will be assigned to each employee that they take with them, because with the IT field, you never know when it's gonna crash and stuff. So that way, when someone calls, we can respond very quickly to it, instead of having to drive over here to the county or wherever that location is.
Well, we'll have time to review it in the policy review
Right.
too, so we can handle that. So we don't need really any action at all then, do we?
I think we do.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna go against it, it doesn't have to be anything big, it's just that you're going to, I was trying to read here what the.
You need approval to purchase the iPads, first of all. Correct?
No, it falls under that $6,000 mark.
Yeah, but we'll still have.
Right, but I mean, the only thing is just with the cell phone policy, $80. Now, if it needs to, like I said, that's where we lie with, we don't know which way we need to go about doing that. It's a trick part to it.
I'm supportive, that's not clear.
Here's what the stated here, Warren, it says, if warranted, the allowance has been set at $20 per month for office holders, department heads, or supervisors that have extensive business use of their personal phone, or I would assume our device, dealing with the public after hours, communications to employees, more than 50% of its usage, a special allowance of $40 per month may be requested with justification. So I would assume that's where you would want this and say that each device couldn't be more than $40, right? If you're gonna amend it, that's where you would
Well,
amend
he's
that.
asking for 20.
Well, that's for like,
Right.
the employee would receive that $40
Exactly right.
allowance
It
and
would
pay
not
for it
exceed
on
the
their
40.
own plan.
Right, but it would not be on, that's the difference, it wouldn't be on their own plan.
It wouldn't be on the county's plan, it would be on the employee's plan, and they would receive $40 a month to offset that cost.
What type of restrictions do we have on the contents of the pad?
We will have like remote, we would have software in there in case anything would happen to it, that we can wipe it clean, that it couldn't get out to the public or anything like
And I'm
that.
assuming there's sites and things, restrictions.
Correct. It'd be the same rules and policies that we have here on the computer.
That somebody would be subject to.
Correct. And everything will be monitored with the filter program that we have here.
So I would say that that's where you would alter it. You would say that the ITP would be deemed to be essential, and therefore their $20 a month, or up to $20 a month, or wherever, would be covered. But you're gonna have to amend that because it doesn't cover it. Which is fine. It's just that is the motion you would make, and at the same time, you could do that same motion authorizing the $20 per unit to the end of the year, until they can put it in their budget. But they've gotta have something that's done before.
They have a motion.
I would move that we amend the policy to the $20 per unit. Is that-
Are you amending to adding, IT as essential people?
Yes, IT is essential, I'm sorry.
And so they would be essential people, and we would add them to that list.
Yes.
Okay. That take care of it?
I think so. When we're saying essential, we're saying that they would meet the description of employees that are justified to have it. So however you want to word that, plus that you have to put $20 per unit in there if you're gonna go forward. You can't just authorize something that goes against your previous.
Okay, so, the motion covers the $20.
Yes.
Hold on, before we finish the motion,
Yeah, and I'm second.
is there a,
Well, that allowance
like
is
that?
where you're saying that the employee is gonna pay for the service and they're gonna get reimbursed for it. That's what that allowance is, that $40 or $20. So it's not going on a county plan, it would just, the allowance would come out of his budget to pay for the employees to have service on their own account.
So you would like the amendment to be, if they want to do this, is that they would be deemed having qualifications of outside activity, and their $20 fee would be paid out of the department's budget?
Basically saying that the county is going to allow for certain, they would need to amend it to say something about the county's gonna allow certain departments deemed essential
Why don't we
to
do
still
this?
be
I'm
included
suggesting, why
on
don't
the
we
county bill.
wordsmith it and come back next week with the final that you guys can do, and that's still before you're into the account.
That'll get it before the end of the month.
Yeah.
Correct.
Let's do that. Let's
I'll
table
work with
it.
you on that.
All right.
Do it on the
You
fly.
already signed it?
You table this item.
And it's in-
Okay, I have a motion to table that item, and I have a second. Any questions at all? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Jared. Out of meeting. Next week is our next meeting, and, so we'll see you here then. Future meeting schedule, I've been doing this last couple of weeks. We're back to every Tuesday now, so that's the schedule. Correspondence, anybody have anything?
Commissioners, I received a correspondence. Good afternoon, Marshall, and I would like to say thank you to the crew cutting along Saffel Road. I don't know who's running that machine, but this looks better than ever, and he was courteous to drivers while cutting straight and not one rock thrown anywhere. I have to say it is wonderful, and we are very appreciative. Thanks for all you all do for the county. Katie Bachman, she is the assistant superintendent for North County.
I get a lot of comments, written or verbal comments, good comments about it. Any other correspondence? Public comments? The departmental reports.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. On your schedule, I would suggest that on the 4th of August, if we have very light or nothing essential, if we could possibly put it off, because we've got, election's gonna be huge, and I'm gonna have all our people out.
So you're gonna
Not have a meeting on August 4th?
Unless there's stuff that's essential. I'm just suggesting that because Linda will be out working on it at the headquarters, I'll be out there, on the road on. If you have something, I totally get it, I'll have somebody here to take the minutes, but we had 58 people vote just yesterday in my office. We're expecting 500 to 1,000 people to vote in the office in the next couple weeks. I'm having to get poll workers out there this next week. Bob's going out there, for example, and so my point is, with all the races that are going on, we will probably have all hands on deck. So if you don't have anything essential that week, I would hope that we could maybe defer that to the following week. If you have something.
We can announce that next week.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So look ahead, if it's something that you have to have, that's fine. I'll make sure we get it, I'll pop in and we'll do the minutes, whatever. I'm just saying, it looks like it's really, really, really busy.
What is the last day to absentee vote?
That's my next point tomorrow, is the last day to request an absentee ballot. But you can absentee vote at my office up to the day before. You cannot vote in our office the day of, but you can vote the Saturday prior from noon, until noon, 8 to noon. So a lot of the workers would like to go over there on Saturday. 8 to noon on that Saturday prior, that's next Saturday, and you can request a ballot. As I was telling somebody the other day, it costs us several dollars for each absentee ballot. So if you're able to come into our office and vote prior, and then we've got you there with your official identification, the whole bit, it's just cleaner. But we've got until tomorrow at 5 to receive a request for an absentee ballot. That gives us enough time to get the absentees back out and get their vote back in. And in the military's a little bit different because they've got a little bit longer.
That's at Weber Road, correct?
That's at Weber Road.
All voting, all election stuff is at Weber Road.
All there, and I was gonna say 58 yesterday for them. That's more than we had on the April, within a week, for a week. So we're expecting next week to really, because I know a lot of the candidates are saying, get out there and vote, before. And we have a lot of people that are still really worried about the virus. And we are able to control the flow of people and sanitize it between everyone, and it's a safer environment than if we have a precinct that's very crowded during elections. So we're very much encouraging it. So we got 2 weeks to vote.
Bob Turner is our new floodplain manager. Hold your hand up, Bob. We appreciate your services, and we thank you and welcome.
How high is the water, Bob?
I'm sorry about that, Bob. We all have to put up a certain amount of it, don't worry about it. Okay, we have some pictures of road work we've done. Gail, want to talk about that?
Well, West Road was a narrow road that had been placed on it. Correct me, guys, if I'm getting out of here. But it really had an insufficient base on it. It was just the way it was paved when it was paved, and it was really would have been wasteful to put another coat of asphalt on top of that. And so with the understanding of the few residents on there that it was returned to gravel, I think, the season before last, is that right?
2 years ago.
With the understanding that it would be graded and it would be allowed to form a stable base to place this on, and then with the promise of overlay at a later date. And it was done, and it's a great job, and it's probably the best use of that money for that particular purpose, and I'm proud of it.
Guys?
That is our Colony Church road bridge construction. We have taken out two 48-inch culvert pipes, and that is an area that's prone to flooding. We can get a 1-inch rain and that water will run over. So what we have now is we have a 20-foot opening that will go on the MoDOT bridge inspection list now. It will be available for BRO funding later on when it eventually becomes deficient. And we are going to elevate that road surface there about 24 inches. Not saying that in a 5 or 6 inch rain that there's not an area that will not flood, but in your 1 to 4 inch rains we should be in good shape.
You'll have a low place on each end of the bridge for the water.
There's actually a spot between that bridge and the other bridge on the roadway that floods before any of this ever does.
You want that. You don't want the high water to hit the end of the bridge, that'll put extra pressure on it,
Right.
and do some damage. So you want the water to go around your bridge
Correct.
if it does flood to that point.
And we did use Smith and Company, on this bridge to engineer, but we are building ourselves.
And now you're formed for the deck, I believe.
They should pour the deck tomorrow afternoon or Thursday morning.
I had that picture, but I didn't get it that one time. Okay, any other departmental reports?
Yes, Commissioners, we have the latest DNR ozone numbers. There have been a few first and second high reading exceedances in the St. Louis area. There have not been any in the fourth highest 8-hour averages. With the increase in the summer temperatures, and our numbers have increased this past month, that our fourth highest readings are currently a comfortable 11 points below the current max of 70.070 parts per million with the Bonterre and the former monitors at 61 and 59 respectively. With the forecast of consistently high temperatures for the next few weeks, these numbers have the potential to change quickly, so please do the things that we've always talked about in the past. Stop the click, plan your trips, and avoid filling up in the heat of the day, and try to avoid spills. This commission has always and will continue to state that St. Francis County is not a big producer of ozone. I have scientific evidence in the back that we are not a producer. You look at Kansas City, the Ford plant, those counties out there where the electric co-ops are, they're producing high amounts, and we've got the documentation for that. So we don't want to be listed as non-attainment. St. Louis is non-attainment. Non-attainment would require cost to the taxpayers, local business, industry, and government. Examples of costing businesses would be air permits and vehicle emission testing to the taxpayers. We don't want that. So I'll continue to travel to Perryville, to the Regional Planning Center, Regional Planning Commission, to attend these meetings, but just want to let you all know that we're still considered attainment, which is a good thing.
Those test sites are along our northern edge of our county, correct?
Yes, sir. One is right outside of Bonterre, and you can actually hit the St. Genevieve County line, and that was done on purpose. It really was. But we're not. St. Francis County is not an emitter, big producer of ozone.
And the reason they do that is they want us in the St. Louis attainment area.
Correct.
We fought that the whole time I was in the Senate, because it dilutes their numbers.
Yeah.
But every factory that comes to town like SNR product has to then raise their standards to meet that overall St. Louis pollution level. That is costly.
And especially
So
as
we do
taxpayers.
not want to be in the St. Louis attainment area.
To the person that drives the vehicle, we don't want to force them to do the permitting and emissions, and that's,
And a prevailing wind comes out of the southwest generally, so it moves fresh air in from all those clean counties down here and moves any air we got toward them. So basically, we're helping Jefferson County by giving them our cleaner air than they have. Now, another cost estimate or factor is that a service station has to go to the contained fence. Is that still the case?
years ago, those costs to those gas stations were $20,000 a pump. And you can see the cost. So I said, take the roads in Deloge, for example, look how many pumps they have. You could have easily $250,000 just in pumps, just to suffice some Arcadian rules, draconian rules on this.
All right, anything else? Any other departmental reports?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Aye. Thank you all.